So we talked about the quarterbacks every day for the last 8 months. Kyle Shanahan sitting in the back of the room with his hoodie over his head, like sort of escaping criticism. Let's bring Kyle to the front of the class real quick and talk about what's at stake for him, because all of a sudden he goes to the NFC Championship game. All scrutiny's gone. He still is 3 games under 500 entering year 6. What do you think is at stake for Kyle Shanahan this season?
Okay, let me just say something before we do it. We're not here to criticize him today.
No.
Right now, Shanahan. No. We're here to say what is at stake for him. And Iggy, this is his 6th season as head coach?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say, first of all, I think there's a lot at stake for him. I think this is a really important season. He has a 3-game under 500 in five seasons. He needs to make a statement that he's a winning coach, that he can get off fast. Last season, he couldn't, that he can get out of the blocks fast. He's a winning coach. And this we talked about before we got on air today. Iggy, he has his quarterback. This is his quarterback that he hand-selected and that he's brought along. Apparently, the way Bill Walsh brought along Joe Montana or Steve Young, he's brought him along. Kyle has brought Trey along according to his own plan. And apparently, or he says, this kid is ready. Well, he's got a great team and he has his quarterback. I'm telling you, Iggy, I feel he needs to get to the championship game and win it. He needs to get to the Super Bowl. If he loses the Super Bowl, okay, I think Sean McVay now has won a Super Bowl. But if Kyle loses the Super Bowl, he can't lose it again by blowing it.
Yeah.
He could get beat. You lose a football game.
Yeah.
But if you're ahead and you blow it, now that's a tragic flaw. It's a tragic flaw in his makeup. So what I'm saying, he needs to really, really kick ass this season. He has everything.
He does. There's more. I mean, he has to win, obviously. But I think he does have a 22-year-old starting quarterback. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, I think people might understand. But if the quarterback plays well, it's all about Trey Lance. If Trey Lance looks like he is developing into a top-level quarterback, people will look at Kyle as the real deal. He's developing a quarterback. Because the narrative with him is that he's done so much without having his quarterback. You know, he's had Jimmy, who wasn't his choice, and he had RG3, who wasn't his choice, and he had that really good year with Matt Ryan, who's good, but, you know, he's not Tom Brady or anything. Well, this is his guy. This is his guy this season. This is no more excuses. Let's see what you got with your guy. Curious.
So are we disagreeing or not? Because if this is his guy, Iggy, I'm not interested in seeing Trey Lance develop. I assume he's developed. I'm interested in seeing him be a really good quarterback. I'm not giving him a break-in period of 3 or 4 games. Forget it.
Well, there's a scenario where Lance looks good. The offensive line looks bad. They missed the playoffs. But you look at Kyle as saying, he and Trey have a future. Like, next year, they're going to be better. And maybe next year they win the Super Bowl. Like, if they finish this season thinking, man, year 1 was good, year 2 could be better, then people will look at Kyle as maybe the real deal as a head coach because he finally developed his own quarterback. If Trey Lance is a bust, you'll look at Kyle as not a head coach. Like, he's an offensive coach who can't evaluate the quarterback position, scout it, or develop it. He's a guy with a scheme that leads to a lot of interceptions. I mean, you look at him totally different. If Trey Lance goes down in flames, Kyle can't escape that. He can't distance himself from Trey the way he distanced himself from Jimmy. I didn't want Jimmy. John drafted Jimmy. Jimmy was a placeholder. This is the guy I want. Okay, well, he better be special. He better show something. Otherwise, you look like fool.
And also, I want to quibble with another thing you say. Well, Trey's really good, but the offensive line may not be that strong. Well, the head coach is responsible for the offensive line. I mean, it's not like you go out and you get all the bad offensive linemen you can. You try to get good offensive linemen. And if that's a problem and that holds back the production of the quarterback, that's on the head coach as well.
Agree. And we've been talking all offseason that not cutting Jimmy Garoppolo and not creating $25 million in cap space and using that is going to hurt this team. And ultimately, that goes back to Kyle, too. It's your team. You decided to mess around with Jimmy all year.
And they could have had offensive linemen.
True. So
That's
he put the Niners in a position where they're looking at potentially another losing season.
I don't know.
They
Look,
could. Yeah.
what I think right now, I went through their schedule. If Trey Lance is okay but not great, I'm looking at a 9-8 team. If Trey Lance is really something, I'm looking at a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
How about you?
Those are two very plausible scenarios. This is also the other scenario where he's really good. He gets hit a lot. All it takes is one hit. He misses 3 games. And they missed the playoffs by 1 game. That because Kyler Murray missed a couple games last year, but the Cardinals made it to the playoffs because Colt McCoy won 2 games in a month.
Yeah.
I don't think the Niners can win without Trey Lance. I don't think unless Jimmy's still here, I don't think Nate Sudfeld is going to hold the fort for a month. That's not going to happen. There's a scenario where he plays well, gets hit, gets hurt, and the Niners are screwed because they don't have a backup quarterback. That's another thing this team doesn't have, a backup quarterback. They could have had one, but they're going to cut him in a few weeks.
Yeah. That interesting what you said about hold down the fort.
It's an American thing, right?
In England, they say it different. They say hold the fort, which makes sense. The fort's being attacked and you hold your position.
Yes.
In the United States, we say hold down the fort, which of course makes no sense. And it seems to be like a floating fort, right?
Right. It's just going to blow away.
It's going to blow away, so you have to hold it down.
It's a hot air balloon.
Nothing to do with Trey Lance.
No, but it's a nice little distinction.
Yeah.
So
but I want Iggy.
What else? He needs to be like eventually get to 500 or eclipse it. So that means 10-7 this year will get him there.
Okay, let's stay with Kyle Shanahan. Let's say what's at stake for him. Let's say what's a good season from your point of view. What's a successful season that for Kyle Shanahan where people grouches like you and me stop kvetching about him? What's a successful season?
Playoff berth at minimum. And then, maybe Trey Lance, who knows what he does in the playoffs if he gets there. But again, if you leave this season feeling like this is a team that can win the Super Bowl next year, I think that's good because you never felt he was going to win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. You might feel he could get there, but he's never going to win it with Jimmy Garoppolo. So if they don't win it this year, but you think this team is a legit Super Bowl contender next year, if they maybe add a couple pieces in free agency, hard to be mad at that.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think? Would you say
what I don't like about that, it's putting things off because their window is now. Who knows what happens in season 2023? Who's hurt? Who's available? I don't like to think that way. I like to think we're really good and we're going to win it now. I don't want to make this season a parenthesis.
But it's like, if he had Matthew Stafford, if he had traded for Matthew Stafford, had the foresight like Sean McVay, you would say this is Super Bowl or bust year. If he had signed Tom Brady, like Tom Brady wanted to come here, and if he had just done that, Super Bowl or bust. But his choice was Jimmy Garoppolo, who's good but not good enough, or the 22-year-old wonder kid. You put yourself in this situation, Kyle. Most likely you're not winning the Super Bowl no matter which quarterback you pick this year, and that's your fault.
You're saying that you don't think they can win the Super Bowl?
Let's be realistic. He's 22. He hasn't played in 2 years. Come on. If he had started the second half of last year, I might feel differently. If Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't on this team and they'd actually put the best roster out there available, I might feel differently. But this team isn't going to win the Super Bowl, Dad.
See, I'm trying to be positive about Kyle Shanahan, but we're not being positive about Kyle Shanahan.
No.
You know what I'm told? I'm told when he's not around the media, he has a very good sense of humor. But you wouldn't know because you're the media.
Okay, cool. So when people aren't critical of him, he's a fun guy. It seems to me that to be in his inner circle, you kind of have to. He has like I don't know. You have to call him the greatest. He wants to be seen as the greatest, but I don't know. Sean McVay, he hasn't won anything yet. He needs to win something before he gets that title. Seems like McVay has a ring right now.
Yeah, and the word was that he owned Sean McVay, but now Sean McVay has won a Super Bowl, so I don't know.
Yeah, at some point Kyle has to win something. He can't keep blaming his quarterbacks for the reason for him not winning.
And he can't always be an almost guy,
A high-level loser?
a high-level loser or an almost guy.
Because it's funny, he's so much different than Jim Harbaugh, but they're both right now, as of now, high-level losers.
I
They have that
agree.
in common.
I agree.